would knock on the door and ask, can I measure your van? The guys would look at you like, why do you want to measure my van? At the time, we didn't have a brand. We were trying to build up something.
You came here 10 years ago, you did not speak English.
Not at all. We're talking about like, hi, how are you? Counting 1 to 10.
How did you get to living in a bubble?
This is back 2018.
Maury and Fernando are inspiring Brazilian immigrants who built living in a bubble, offering smart solutions for homes on wheels.
Their innovative products, like magnetic fly screens and window covers, enhance comfort and functionality for van lifers.
We put on marketplace just to sell that. In a matter of 12 hours, I had 30 to 40 messages, and everybody was just like wanting to pay more than what was advertised for that product.
Now, just to put this in perspective, how much are you turning over now? Are you
3 million.
Yeah. We got everything sold before it arrived in Australia. So we opened pre-order on our website and everything was sold.
How did you sell those first 100?
So first thought was, let's...
What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. This is an absolute ripper. We have two amazing guests today, Maury and Fernando, who came to Australia from Brazil, didn't even speak the language. Think of that for a moment. Arriving in a country where you do not speak the language and you build a business from scratch by literally hustling it out of zero. They started this business for just $3,500 they saved from Fernando being a barista while Marie was working at a phone repair shop in Surfers Paradise. They parlayed that $3,500 into a business that has done over $3 million in the last 12 months, on track to do $4 million right now. It's an extraordinary story of solving a real problem for a real marketplace, and they disclose exactly how they came up with the idea. It was almost by accident. It's an amazing story. I think you're going to love it. We'll see you on the other side. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. Today, we are joined in the studio by two of our friends from here in Burleigh Heads, an amazing couple, Maury and Fernando. You guys are going to love this story. How are you guys? Welcome to the studio.
We're fantastic. So we kind of have a bad day here on the Gold Coast when it's winter, right?
I reckon it's the best time of year. We get those beautiful glassed off days on the ocean. And
100%.
A lot of wind, and always when the sun is up, it's warm and nice, so we can't complain. We live in paradise.
We're very lucky. Eric, how are you, buddy?
Yep, very good. As always, looking forward to. I've wanted to get you guys on the pod, so you've intrigued me since I've heard about your business and the growth that you guys have had, and just your background story. Yep. We have quite similar stories actually, which is great. Us being immigrants, so.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel like the odd one out here, because I'm surrounded by immigrant entrepreneurs, which I love to be surrounded by in this country. And I've been, you guys, in the US. I was an immigrant over there. And there's something about coming to a country, I think, when, you have to work for it to be here. It's a lot of effort to leave a country and your friends, your family, and the infrastructure, and then to arrive in a country and have a crack at something new. You don't know what a proprietary limited company is. You don't know how to get a tax file number and open a bank account. And you have to learn all that stuff again.
Everything.
And so for all the immigrants that are watching this into Australia, I think you're going to love this one, because I'm surrounded by living proof of how not only lucky we are to live in Australia because of the comments we made at the start, how beautiful it is and all of those things, but it's a country that you can actually do really well in and create
many opportunities. Yeah. So many opportunities.
It is a country that gives you a lot of opportunity. So if you can, there is a space here for you to give it a shot and, have a bright future for sure.
So for those listening, where did you come from?
So we are both Brazilians.
Yes.
We were born and raised in Brazil from German families, and we've been living in Australia for 10 years now.
So when you were in Brazil and you're looking over the horizon to Australia, give us a perspective, like from a Brazilian perspective, what did you see here that made you want to come here? Because I think so many Australians take it for granted. What did you see? Why did you want to come? I
always wanted to come to Australia since the Olympics in Sydney. I've been watching movies and everything about Australia. And then in 2014, Maya and I, we decided to launch her business. She was a shoes designer, and we decided to launch a shoes design studio. But soon after that, we found out Brazil wasn't the place for us to be entrepreneurs. A lot of bureaucracy and difficulties. So I said, Mari, let's give it a go to Australia, learn English, which is very important in the world we live in, and see how that goes. So we got in Australia as English students, and after a week, Mari looked at me and said, we stay here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then since then, we just decided we got to build up from there. We want to stay in Australia. We want to live in this beautiful country. So how do we do that? So we started building from there. First thing we needed to have was the visa, of course, the citizenship. So it took us about 5 years till we got our citizenship. And then in 2019, we already had 3 little side brands going on. And then luckily in 2020, we found the winner, Living in a Bubble. And we've been running Living in a Bubble since then.
That's incredible. So to be clear, you came here 10 years ago and you did not speak English.
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, we're talking about like, hi, how are you? Counting 1 to 10, good or bad, those very little things.
And funny thing is, our luggage broke in the flight, so we had to go to an attendant. The attendant looked at me, "Hey man, how you going?" And I was like,
So to be clear, you had to learn Australian, not just English.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another language all in
Still
itself.
doing that. Still on the way.
Still in the process of learning.
You know English, but you're still learning Australian.
Exactly.
So that's amazing. So, I mean, I just want the Aussies listening to this to really try to imagine that, right? Imagine moving to Brazil, not speaking any Brazilian at all, and then having to learn English, spend years just to get the right to stay, because it's not easy to do in Australia.
Yeah.
And then starting a company to sell to Brazilians and then achieve what you've done. It is truly remarkable. It is not lost on me. And I'm not saying that to pump your tires up. I moved to America, and it was hard enough just trying to start in America, and I only spoke the language. I didn't know what an S Corp was or an LLC. I didn't know how the social security number was needed, and all that infrastructure stuff alone is quite overwhelming. And learning taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, how health insurance works, all these things that we take for granted as Aussies.
You basically feel like a baby.
Yes.
You have to learn how to catch a bus, for example.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to open a bank account.
Yes.
You have to learn the terms. You have to learn the culture. So you actually feel like a baby just starting all over again.
Yeah.
And you have to really, like I'm a very communicative person. And what happened to me in the very beginning, I felt like I was actually losing my personality. Because as I could not communicate, you get very good in learning, in communicating, just understanding the person's face and a lot of gestures and things like that. But in a way, I was feeling a bit frustrated because I was like, I'm losing myself.
Yeah.
If I cannot communicate, who am I without communicating, right? So it was I had to really dive deep into who am I and how can I make that happen? Because if I cannot communicate, I don't know who I am anymore, right? So 2 years I think is the sweet point. It is a sweet spot when things will start to turn over and you'll be like, oh, okay, now I can communicate, now I can understand a bit more. But those 2 years, they were tough.
Yeah.
I have 2 very dear friends here on the coast. You might know them, Simone and Flavio. Do you know them? So, and I know Simone. She built a very successful business in Brazil. Mm-hmm. It was the second largest car rally in the world behind the Paris to Dakar. She had 3,000 employees. And I just must say to the listeners, I apologize because I'm sniffling like crazy. I've got the worst hay fever today. But she moved out from Brazil and she really struggled because she's such an intelligent woman and not being able to articulate and communicate and engage. And she's like you, she loves people, but just felt that isolation and I think also the vulnerability perhaps of not knowing the language so well. You don't want to sound stupid or that you're using the wrong words and whatever. It's a real challenge that not a lot of people.
Yeah, it happens a lot, but it builds up resilience because you got to keep trying. You cannot go home and cry to your parents or to your family or even friends. Like in the beginning, the first 2 years, everyone is hustling. Like we got here, it was like 70, 80 hours a week working, and then we had to go to school to learn English, and our brain was working double because we were thinking Portuguese and translating to English and then translating back so our brain could understand. So headaches every day, like really proper headaches. We had to go home and sleep because our brain was just like pumping.
Amazing.
I remember coming here, and I came from an English-speaking country, and I know how difficult it was just to start getting an understanding of where Yatala is, and all these different places. And again, yeah, like catching the bus. Like people don't realize, oh, I just moved there, but like you literally go to a hotel for 2 days, and then you got to try and find a rental, and you have no previous rental, history at all, and you're trying to negotiate with these property managers who don't know you, and you sound, you're from Brazil, you sound, I'm from Canada, I would have sound so Canadian, like, you're not from here. You have to pay extra to get in, and all these things, and these are the things that people don't see, right? And you have to be very, very resourceful, and you can't give up.
I mean, looking back though, how do you look at it now? I mean, I look back at my time in the US, and I really treasure those early memories now. Looking back, at the time, it was tough.
It was really, really important. If it wasn't for that, even like I was 28 when I came to Australia, Mari was 26. We had our lives in Brazil, our careers, and we thought we were good. But then you come here, you're a 2-year-old child. Everyone else is better than you. So you go like, your ego goes back to the bottom, and then you got to build up from there. And
it's kind of, you have to reinvent yourself in a way. And I see that as actually an opportunity to reinvent yourself, because you can just detach you from anything that was in the past, in terms of, we come from a small city, so everybody would know us. Oh, you are the daughter of this person, or you have this surname, or your father lives in that street, and things like that. When you come, you become really no one. Anonymous. So who can I be today? Because in the past, I would have this sort of, not in a bad way, but there was a weight on your shoulder in terms of where you come from, your family, the expectations that you had. And when you cross the globe to somewhere else where you don't even know what people are talking about, and you'll be like, okay, who do I want to be right now? So it was a chance for us to reinvent ourselves and really see like how resilient we were, because we could easily just give up. And I think the cherry on top of this pie is that as we come from Brazil, the currency between Brazilian money and the Australian money, it's huge. So even if you had money in Brazil, when you come here and you don't get jobs, especially in the very beginning, you just see your bank account going down, 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 down. And that's when you'll be like, you're going to buy water, and then in Brazil, this water the price that you pay here will be the equivalent to like, maybe a meal for an entire family.
Wow.
Right? So those things you start to calculate, and then you get very nervous because you don't have backup. You only have that, and then you see the bank account going down. That's when you have to really push yourself through your limits and find solutions for whatever you have. And that's what people say. You start wherever you are with whatever you have.
Yeah.
And this is what actually happened to us. You have no other option. So we don't even have a ticket to go back.
I love this because it's bringing me back so much memories on our journey. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that, just like you guys are. But yeah,
you realize
it's
how
amazing.
strong you are.
It makes
how
you stronger.
Yeah, you forget. Yeah, you forget what you've went through.
Yeah,
we forget very quickly.
I miss that. I never felt more alive. I remember getting off the plane at LAX and rocking down a Mills diner on Sunset Boulevard with my partner at the time. And we sat there and we looked out, the cars go by, and we had our 4 suitcases, and we're like, that's it, we're here.
Yeah.
And
make it work.
You got to make it work.
That's life now.
Airbnb for a week, go buy a car the next day, and so it's great. So tell us the story. So you move out, you come here to Australia. Was it the Gold Coast you came to?
We were in Sydney.
Okay,
5 years.
In Sydney. Okay.
Yeah.
So you start off in Sydney. What did you do when you first landed? I assume you tried to get work or something. So what did you do for work? And then when did your entrepreneurial journey start? What was your first thing that you did that wasn't swapping time for money?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go?
Yeah. So on the very beginning, it was just about, we need to get money in. So whatever was available for people who could not speak English was basically carrying trays, working as cleaners, working as a labor, whatever you could get an opportunity, we would do. So we did that for, I would say, a couple of weeks until Fernando got an opportunity to work as
manager in a restaurant, like a takeaway restaurant, that they would be able to offer me the sponsorship. At the time, we were looking for a company who could sponsor us to stay in the country.
Yeah.
I found a company in the hospitality industry that could sponsor me, so I stayed with them for about a year or so. But at a time, I noticed that things weren't going as I wanted in the company, and was starting to smell, And then luckily with the visa I got, Mari was able to get another company's job.
A full-time job, because when you are in a student visa, you cannot get full-time jobs. You can only get part-time jobs. So Fernando got this job, got his visa, then we could get out of the student visa, which is the hardest part. And then he was going through this visa. It wasn't going well. That's when we decided that I should try and get what is called a sponsorship. So then I got into another company and got a sponsorship in that company, so we could release Fernando from the previous company, and that's the company that we did the entire process of getting the residency and then the citizenship.
Yeah. After a while in this company that Mari was working was a lighting design company. She was the lighting designer. Again, she was the designer. After about a year, I went into the same company. So we started to work together in that company.
Yeah.
Mari was managing the whole office as a lighting designer, and I was managing the supply chain of the company. The company was importing from China, so I learned how to do that in that company. We went to China a couple of times as well.
And we were working together.
Yeah.
So it was a really good experience. Someone was actually, in a way, paying us to learn how to work together in an environment with other team members, and also being very separate in terms of Fernando is doing logistics and I'm doing management and design. So it basically set us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after, like in the very beginning, we were not very entrepreneurial in the beginning in Australia, because we're very focused on getting the visa. Yeah. And the visa was taking all of our energy and everything. But once we got the visa, then we moved to the Gold Coast. And that's when we got back into our entrepreneurial journey. Then we set up 3 brands, and we were running those 3 brands. And that's when Living in a Bubble came up. And then that's the rest of the story.
What brought you to the Gold Coast after being in Sydney?
Lifestyle.
The Brazilian, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Like
we went to
half
Sydney.
of Brazil is here.
Sydney was the easiest way for us to get the visa. At the time, like back in Brazil, we did a lot of research. If you want to go to Australian stay, what's the best way? Sydney. Everyone was saying Sydney. But everyone in Sydney was like sunny coast, Gold Coast and stuff. So after 5 years, we decided, okay, why did you came to Australia? We came to Australia to have a better life. Do we like living in Sydney? We don't like the cold. So we said, let's go to the Gold Coast, give it a go. As we did 5 years ago, let's try again. So we left our job there, very nice job. We can't complain. The opportunities we had with that company, but we decided it's not here. Like, we don't want to be here. So we came to the coast with no jobs. We proposed to work remotely at a time, but it wasn't popular. So our boss just said, like, guys, I cannot do that. If you want to go stay there for 6 months time, have a good time and come back, I'll be happy to offer the position again. But if you want to go and stay, just stay. So we came to the Gold Coast.
And that's the best part. Like, when we came up to the Gold Coast, we already had the visa sorted. We already speaking English. We had careers. So we had some sort of history to apply for jobs and, get good jobs here.
We thought so.
This is 2019. I got into 16 interviews and I got rejected in all of them. Fernando went through, I think, another six interviews.
Here on the Gold Coast.
All rejected. So we basically 3 months at home without getting jobs here. And we were like, fuck, what are we going to do?
Try to build businesses at the same time.
Yeah. So
Using savings.
Using savings. But at a time, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
We left Sydney and let's give it a go.
Yeah, I think we have 20, 25 grand. And then it will be on those 3 months, you get a house again and have to pay bond and furniture. So then you see the bank account going down again. And we're like, I don't want to get that feeling again. Try to get a job, got rejected in every single job. And because we had those positions in Sydney where we were managers, but when we got here to the Gold Coast, we decided, let's get a job that you are not a manager anymore, maybe an assistant or something like that, because we want to have brain power to put that into our businesses. So our idea was to get a part-time job, not necessarily an easy job, but not a managerial job anymore. So then
with a lot of responsibility.
So we could get back home and then work on our side gigs until they become a business, right? So, but we could not find a job at all. And then got close to Christmas. We decided, okay, let's get some Christmas casual job. And then I got a job in a secondhand phone shop in Surfers Paradise, and Fernando got a job as a barista. And we were like, okay, these 2 jobs, they pay the bills. They do not require much brain power, and we can go home and keep pushing for ourselves, because we were like just so overworking for other people and making a lot of money for other people. Then we were like, this is time for us to make money for ourselves. So it was a sort of strategy to go to these type of jobs, but it was just a blessing, because I work with the owner of this secondhand phone shop here in Surfers Paradise, and he's from Bangladesh. And he was the last mentor I needed in terms of being a boss for me. And he taught me a lot how to start a business with nothing, or how to start a business with $100, how to start a business with $1,000. So I was helping him to manage 3 or 4 different businesses that he had at that time, and really learning how to sell online with a lot of tricks and hacks. And it was just so mind-blowing, because I had mentors in the past, but I never had a mentor that was close to me in terms of being an immigrant, and also, having this opportunity to start from nothing. So I got so much knowledge from that guy. And at the same time, because I was running our 2 or 3 brands at that time, I had access to my phone. So I could be managing my own businesses while working on his business, right? And helping him he was doing car rental, like Ferrari rental. He was doing jet ski rental, Airbnb. He had 3 shops. So it was all over the place. And I was like an assistant for him. So I've learned so much in a short period of time. That was like, this was just like the best job I could ever get for me, just to fire myself up in terms of like, I am also able to do that.
Sounds like a Bangladeshi version of Eric. Like, for real. Like, if it's not nailed down, you'll sell it or rent it.
You gotta do what you gotta do when you're
I mean, Eric was an OnlyFans guy. That's how he paid his bills.
It's amazing what falls into your lap sometimes, like if you would have got a job, again, a corporate role here, things could have been very different for you guys, and you wouldn't maybe have the time or the headspace, right, the brain power to actually go and work on these side hustles.
It was really important for us that time when we got into the Gold Coast, because again, talking about resilience, when we came to Australia, we built up a little bit of that. When we came to the Gold Coast, we built up a little more of that. When we got the part-time jobs to pay our bills, we had a lot of opportunities to make mistakes, like in our side businesses, because we didn't need the money we were putting the side businesses. So the part-time jobs and being on the Gold Coast with no jobs, no one around us, and having to go for it gave us, again, a lot more power, a lot more strength. And the beginning of it gave us a lot of opportunity to make mistakes and learn from them. So we had three brands, little brands that we were trying to build up. And then when living in a bubble came up, we were sort of more experienced. So we already had made some mistakes in the previous ones that we didn't make again in living in the bubble.
So I know people are dying to know what you were originally doing before living in a bubble. We will dive into living in a bubble. I want to talk about the first 3 brands that you started, like what you were doing, how you were selling it, all that. But I want the listeners to really, before we go on to that, I want you to really understand where these guys started. And we've spent a bit of time on this at the start, because so often people have all kinds of reasons as to why they're not starting a business. But you guys literally came here, couldn't speak English, took jobs as a barista and working in a mobile phone shop in Surfers Paradise, and then came home and worked on your business. And that's the bit that you can't teach. You can teach somebody how to, do this or do that. You're going to hear them talk about and unpack the strategies in a minute, but you've got to have that desire, that want, that drive. Mm-hmm. And I can just feel it sitting across from you guys, how bad you want it.
Yeah.
So how did you start? So what were the first 3 businesses in a nutshell? Like, what were you selling? What was the business model? And then how did you get to living in a bubble?
Okay. This is back 2018. Once we got the visa sorted, we decided like what would be the perfect scenario in terms of business for us and for our lifestyle that we want. And at that time, drop shipping was very popular. So we started to drop ship from China, from AliExpress to eBay. So like very happy making $5 every sale. But you know, once you get hit by the bug and it's just $5, but once you see that happening
sale,
and you wake up and then it's another $5 while you were sleeping. So that's when you be like, well,
make money while you sleep.
there is opportunity here, regardless of where we are, what stage we are right now, but there is opportunity and this works. So we did that dropshipping for
What were you selling? Just out of interest.
anything you can think of.
Just do research, like keyword research, whatever was in demand, not bringing from China, but just adding to eBay. And whenever we got a sale, we would purchase from Ali.
So you just put an ad on eBay, somebody buys it, then you order from China and get them to ship it. So you're just a middleman.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're making $5. But you're probably making $20 an hour. So
That's it.
if you can do 2 sales an hour.
That wasn't bad.
What were some of the products, just out of curiosity?
We have a dash hound. So the first one was a pajamas with dash hounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was like guitar holders.
Kids' toys.
Yeah, everything that you could imagine, because it was we had a system that will import things automatically from AliExpress into eBay. So it was just whatever it was hot in China, we were selling on eBay, and this was something very common at that time. It was not just us doing that.
How did you learn how to do that? Like, you've obviously had to have read a book or watch a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you learn?
Lots of YouTube video, and then also we went to some courses back in Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after we've done this, but I'm just gonna add here what happened, why we gave up on that business
that's a good
model.
story.
That's a very good story, because we started doing that and started to get some sales. This was like October, right? And like getting some sales every day, and we were working together. Fernando and I would look at each other like, another sale, yeah, another sale on $5, you know. But then it got into end of November, and then we got a customer just emailing us saying, if I order today, it's going to arrive for Christmas or not. And that's when the two of us look at each other like, fuck, we didn't realize that things will slow down in Christmas. And we're just selling a lot for Christmas. People will buy for Christmas. But then the lead time at that time was about like 15 days. But, you know, when it's Christmas time, it's not 15 days anymore. It's 20, 30 days, whatever. Yeah. So people are buying things in November to get there for Christmas. And we were like, fuck, let's shut the shop, not sell anything now because it's not going to be delivered. And then we were like, let's think about something else, because we cannot rely on these time frames and the way it works. But then it was like Christmas Day. We started to receive some really bad messages of upset customers. Just saying that hurt my heart in a way that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore in my life. She said, I now have a child here without a present because of you guys.
Christmas Day. We got that message.
And I was like, this is not a business model for us. And because there is a lot of things that we cannot control.
Yeah. Wow.
So we were like, okay, let's move on. What is the next one? So the next one was start dropshipping in Australia from Australian suppliers. And then we found this supplier, very good supplier in Melbourne, that they had like about 5,000 SKUs, mostly in like furniture, garden, and things like that. We worked with them, dropshipping again, and then we created a Shopify for that. And we ran that business for like 2 years. That is the business that really leverage and fund living in a bubble.
So that one, you were just getting his stock, putting it onto your website, and then you were advertising?
Yep.
Using Google Ads?
No, so that's the thing.
That's another trick.
What I learned from my Bangladesh ex-boss.
Yes.
He would go and create 9 or 10 Facebook accounts.
Yes.
Go to Facebook Marketplace in each of these accounts with different locations, for example, in Australia. So I'll have one account set up in Sydney, one account set up in Western Australia, one account set up in South Australia, and put as many ads, not ads, like listings, all for free, and just have automatic message to reply and send people to the website. So you go and find a furniture that you like. Then you're going to say, I'm interested in this. I will just send you, this is the website. And then you go and you order.
For free.
It's a free
Facebook.
advertisement. And then we had this like way of reposting. So delete every X number of days, we delete the post, repost it again. So and we made it as a machine. So we hired many VAs, and they would just, each of them will be using one Facebook account and just reposting nonstop. So it was free advertising.
Wow.
And doing drop shipping with this Australian company. So that business, until we got blocked for every single Facebook account, that business lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
How big did you grow that, just out of interest?
That business at the top was doing 300, 400,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Drop shipping.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I've come across people over the years that have built businesses off Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree,
Yeah.
all these non-obvious kind of routes that are out there,
Yeah.
which is extraordinary. So, all right. So you basically a pair of hustlers from Brazil with your broken English and your Bangladeshi
Hacking Facebook.
mentor, hacking Facebook and getting banned. I love this story. It's so good.
This is just the start, because if we go back to Brazil, I'm just going to give you one extra bit of the story. In 2011, we were selling the High Smile kits.
Hi, Smile Kids.
Yeah,
Oh,
not for them,
wow.
but
The teeth whitening.
The teeth
The
whitening.
teeth whitening.
We had our little brand back in 2011.
Yeah.
Talk about a miss, guys.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay?
That one
Talking
hurts.
to millionaires, right?
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, as Max Verstappen
Yeah.
said recently in the post-race interview. They were saying, what do you think, Lando? And when Lando was saying, oh, if this had happened and that had happened, and Max Verstappen said, well, if my mum had a dick, she'd be my dad.
Yeah.
That was Max Verstappen's input. So there you
That's
go.
amazing.
So I love this story. So basically, you've hustled your way to the point of like getting some confidence. You've been using the resource. So let's talk about living in a bubble. Well, we love this story. Now, just for context, guys, these guys are coaching clients of ours. So we know this business intimately. We work with Mari and Fernando in helping them now build their wealth and not just build their business. And we might finish with some of the stuff that you're doing now that this business has blown up so well.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of how you discovered this idea, because this is the first idea from the sound of it where you actually created your own product, where you sourced it and you bought it direct and put it into stock. So tell us how you came up with the idea, and then we'll talk about distribution and how you're making millions of dollars a year now.
Okay. Back in Sydney, we used to have a campervan, and we used to go camping on the weekends. Once we moved to the Gold Coast, we got rid of that campervan, but we had accessories for that campervan, right? When we were traveling with that campervan, we found a need for products. Once we start to research, so Fernando would try to research and find solutions for the problems that we were having at that time, and we could not find anyone selling anything.
Yeah, during summer, as you guys know, here in Australia, it gets super hot. So like during Christmas holidays, we were going to South Australia and
46 degrees.
46 degrees. There was no ventilation and it was boiling hot inside the van. So I had to find a solution for that. I researched everywhere in Australia, couldn't find it. Then I went to Amazon, America, couldn't find anything. Then as I do, Google, I found a guy in Japan selling fly screens for camper vans. But it wasn't the perfect product. It solved the issue, but it wasn't like great. But we kept that because we were just weekenders, right?
So we bought that product from this Japanese company. But then when we were here on the Gold Coast, we decided to get rid of our
accessories,
like camper van gear, because we didn't have the camper van anymore, right? And then again, we put on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, just to sell that with the same price that we purchased in the past. In a matter of 12 hours, I had, 30 to 40 messages, and I had so many people saw the ad, and everybody was just like wanting to buy and even bidding, wanting to pay more than what was advertised for that product. In the morning when I woke up and I saw that on my Facebook, I look at Fernando and I was like, fuck, we found a winner.
So hang on, is this the van for sale or the accessories?
The
Yeah,
accessories.
accessory.
Okay, so what were the accessories that you were selling?
It was a fly screen.
The fly screen.
Yeah.
From the Japanese supplier that I found.
Got it.
We bought that in 2017 for us to use. And 2019, we were here on the Gold Coast, we didn't need it anymore.
Okay, so I just want to be crystal clear about this, because this is the basis of a multi-million-dollar business. So I want to make sure the listeners
Yes.
get this. So it's called living in a bubble because you're living in a van,
Yes.
right? So the bubble is the van, right?
Correct.
So the fly screens, these vans have windows, do they? But there's no fly screens on them?
Yeah, so
Is
they
it-
have doors.
They have
and-
doors.
and
Sliding doors and
When
windows.
you sleep inside of a van, if you don't open the windows or like you don't open the doors, it gets super hot.
Okay, so you got doors and windows on all these vans,
But you wouldn't
don't
open it because
them.
there's bugs and there's flies, mozzies and flies and
Australia
all
doesn't
that.
have bugs, does it? Just really flies. So this is like the perfect market to like sell it to. So what you're saying is all these van lifers who live in bubbles
Yeah.
have doors and windows they can't open.
Correct.
And so you went, how come there's no fly screens that are made to fit these things properly instead of Aussies who just hang tea towels up, I suppose, and blue tack or something?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you basically ordered it from Japan, then you went to sell the fly screens on Facebook Marketplace and you got inundated. Now, this reminds me of Golf 24, who was on here.
Yes.
It's not been released,
Yeah.
this podcast yet, I don't
Yep.
think. Have we released it?
I know the story,
No, not
and
yet.
it's very similar.
You mentioned
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, so he started a business, you know, in Melbourne where you go in and practice your golf driving using the state-of-the-art technology, and those businesses failed. So he sold the technology, like the equipment,
The simulators.
the simulators on Facebook Marketplace, and instantly got destroyed with people trying to get hold of him. He thought, I've done the wrong thing here. I should be importing the equipment and not setting up the physical spaces.
Yeah.
Same thing for you guys.
Exactly the same thing.
But you were smart enough to immediately, as the entrepreneur, went,
Because we
My God, we
like
should be
we
doing
we
this.
we've been studying about like e-commerce and like watching all of those videos and people talking about the winners, the volume that you get when you find a winner. That day when I woke up and saw those numbers, I was like, straight away, this is the winner. How are we gonna do that? So first thought was, let's reach out to this Japanese factory and be and import the products and just be a reseller here. He didn't want to talk to us, so we hired again a Brazilians because they are everywhere, right? So we hired a Brazilian in Japan to go to this factory and speak to this guy directly and just see, like, can we do business together or not? The guy said, no, I don't want to do business with Australia. And we were like, okay. So now we're going to have to go to Asia and make our own version of it. And because we had this experience in the past working together, and Fernando, especially working with logistics and importing from China, it was just a matter for us to apply the same concept that we learned, but into our business. So that's when we made the first prototype that we sold on Living in a Bubble. That's the way that happened.
Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this podcast. I just wanted to let you know that we are going to be opening Unemployable Coaching 2025 in mid-January. This is going to be a really exciting program next year. It's going to include all the amazing things you saw in the last year: private property tours, private training days, one-on-one coaching, and so much more. If you are interested in being notified when the program goes live, simply go to unemployable.com.au/coaching. That's unemployable.com.au/coaching. Put in your information, we'll let you know. With that said, let's get back to the pod.
So, so Fernando, you have the sample, right?
Yes.
Obviously from Japan. Did you sell it?
We
You
did
sold
sell
it.
yeah.
So, did you order another one?
I went into Alibaba and I
Yeah.
found a similar product.
Okay.
And then I got that product to see how it was. As Mari is a product designer, I just needed to see the material and the usability. So that supplier, they had like a similar product. We just had to adapt. So that's what we did. We got that sample from a Chinese supplier at the time. Mari and I were adapted, hired a few camper vans here on the Gold Coast, went and tested it, sent it back to China, and then did the adaptations needed. And that was our first sample.
Are these
Ready
like
to go.
magnetic?
Magnetic.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that there's a whole ton of different window sizes and door sizes and stuff. So how did you overcome that challenge?
Oh, we became pros in driving around the Gold Coast with a tape measure and just knocking on people's door and ask to measure their vans.
Yeah.
Because
the most popular ones in Australia would knock on the door and ask, can I measure your van? The guys would look at you like, why do you want to measure my van? At the time, we didn't have a brand. We were trying to build up something
Man,
here, guys.
this is the best.
Like,
Yeah.
knock on the door like Burley. How many camper vans were in Burley just sitting there waiting for us to knock on their doors?
so that way we build up a database, because that sort of information, you can't get it online. So we will basically, sometimes if we need any information about a van, we'll drive from Byron Bay to the Gold Coast and try to find someone around.
Sometimes even we found people, I don't know, in the Sunshine Coast, and we'd pay them $100 for them to drive down here so we could measure them.
Wow. I could picture you guys just driving around going, oh shit, that's one we haven't seen before. Let's
Yeah.
attack.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that
And then
happens.
sometimes you knock on the door and then the person is sleeping, and you were like, "Oh shit!"
You guys are so awesome. Like, honestly, I've been coaching, as you know, people to build e-commerce businesses and Amazon business in particular. And the shit that immigrants do is just amazing to me.
Mate,
Like,
these countries are built off immigrants.
I know, I love it. Like, I'm not a criticism at all. Like,
No. But what I'm saying is that's because a lot of people wouldn't do that.
No,
I don't know
If
if
I was
I
in
would
Brazil,
do
I
that. To
wouldn't
be
do that.
honest, I'm an immigrant.
I can
like,
tell you, if I was
you
in
know,
Brazil, I wouldn't do that.
I was in no, because you wouldn't. I know exactly what you're saying. And I had a client in Melbourne, an Indian guy came out on a student visa, same thing, learned English, and he went to Chadstone Shopping Centre with his brand name, and he had 3 brand names, and he just walked up to people who were coming out of homeware stores because he
And
wanted to
asked
launch
for
a
opinion.
homeware brand. Says, I'm launching a home brand, and you look like you're into home. Which of these 3 do you like?
Amazing.
Until he got booted out.
but he would have got some good data.
He did, and he went
Gotta
with it. And
test
For free?
Test the system until they tell you to get out. You don't do
his
it.
story is exactly the same as yours, and he built a multi-million-dollar e-com brand, sold it, bought a house in Melbourne, paid for it, and he came out on a student immigrant visa because you guys are willing to do stuff that we're not, and
Yeah.
I love that. So, okay, so you're going around, you're freaking people out, knocking on their door, and says, "Hey guys, can we like?" It's just like,
With a measuring tape.
I hope this doesn't
Exactly.
sound weird, but we're
Yeah. And it's like, how do you make the intro? So I was like, look, I know that this sounds weird, but do you mind if I measure your van?
yeah.
I never got a no as an answer. That's a good thing, you know?
I guess you're catching people.
Some
kind of-
weird looks at
Yeah,
you, but
yeah.
that's what you gotta do when you're an immigrant.
You know, it's
Or an
funny.
entrepreneur.
Most of those people are probably buying your product now,
They
not
are.
even realizing it's you.
Yeah. Now when we are around people, hey, are you guys the bubble guys?
Yeah.
It's
So
a completely different feeling these days.
so you went from measuring the vans. You've got measurements. You're sending them back to your manufacturer in China, and you're importing them. So, did you have a website at this time?
Yep. So because we had the experience again of
The previous site gigs.
the previous websites, just setting up Shopify and everything. The first thing we did, let's set up a Shopify because we just need to get sales going on, right? So we placed our first order, which was, again, another moment that we never forget. We got the PI from China. Fernando did all of his due diligence at that time, again, running things but with no money. And he was just like, I need you to press the button and pay this bill because I'm just so freaking shaking. And
It was our first purchase of goods. Before that was just drop shipping. So we didn't have the risk of putting the
Yes.
money up front.
yeah.
And how many items did you order, and how much was that invoice?
Just 100 of them.
And it was like
$3,500 it was the order, the first order. But we didn't have the money. We were just working on a
out
credit
of a
card.
credit card.
Now, just to put this in perspective, how much are you turning over now? Are you
3 million.
Yeah.
3 million this financial year.
3
we just
million?
closed.
You've just closed 3 million and
Yeah.
growing, right? So here you are at $3,000 at the start,
Freaking out,
asking
honestly.
Mari to push the button.
Yeah, Fernando couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a great reminder. And I want everyone listening here, before we could jump in a bit further, remember the Hormozi stack we talk about, right? We call it the Hormozi stack. Alex lays out a 4-step process for launching a business. Number 1 is solve a real problem, right? For a starving crowd. It sounds to me like this was a real problem for a starving crowd, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, selling a product that they can afford, a solution that they can afford. And I assume you've checked those. But what great, and then we'll get to number 3 and 4. But number 3 is that you can reach through marketing, and we'll talk about that in a moment, in a growing market. And of course, that whole niche exploded through
COVID.
Through COVID,
COVID
right?
helped a lot, yeah.
And that boomed you. So, that you saw though that Peter Thiel says, I think it's Peter Thiel who's a VC investor. He says we only invest in things where the customer is literally reaching across the counter trying to pull it out of your hand.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you're living in a bubble in a van in the middle of Australia and it's hot and it's whatever,
You need it.
there's bugs coming in, flies coming in, and your wife's going, God damn, this is uncomfortable, right? Or the husband saying that solves the problem.
Yeah.
It's a real
Yeah.
and painful problem.
Yeah.
So you push this $3,500 order for your first, what must have felt like a massive order of magnetic fly screens to go on vans.
Yeah.
And what happened next?
We got everything sold before it arrived in Australia. So we opened pre-order on our website, and everything was sold like in a matter of, I think, like a 1 week.
Two to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
James would love this.
So
Another pre-order model.
Yeah, we love pre-orders.
we love
We do
pre-order.
that.
So you had all the money in the bank, and then the stuff arrived. Did you have to call the people and say it's arriving in a week or two, or what did you do?
No, so we had on the website saying this is the estimated
Delivery.
time frame. You know, once you get in, we just ship it.
Okay.
Did you sell? You had the website, and obviously, I'm assuming that you took a lot of people's details that you were measuring the van.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. How did you market? How did you sell those first 100? Was it through Facebook ads?
Marketplace. still.
Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. Free
Still
advertisement.
Always free.
But that with the same link going to the website,
Yeah,
like the old
same-
school, like
Yeah,
the
same
Bangladesh
way.
man.
And also going to Facebook groups, because there's lots of groups around caravan, campervan, camping with family in Australia.
Yeah.
So we will go in there and just be like, hey guys, we just two people inventing this product for this niche. If you guys are interested, this is the website. And because you are honest and open, it's not a spam. They let you do it.
So, how much did it cost you to set up the website? Roughly, how much would it cost someone to set up a basic Shopify website?
At that time, I would say not more. Look, it was very simple. Not more than
found a guy for
$1,000.
$500.
Yeah.
So $500. Say it's $1,000 today, right?
Yeah.
No Facebook ads, no Google ads.
Nothing.
So someone right now that has a product idea, would you recommend doing the same thing without going and spending thousands of dollars and going, you know what? Let's prove the concept of 10 different products and do the exact same thing in process of elimination.
This is not the first time we've heard this.
Like this is what I mean. Like you have so many people spending thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all they have to do is go grab a few products off AliExpress or Alibaba.
Logos and branding companies and
No
apps.
Facebook ads.
Yeah.
You're not even talking to an ads guy. No overwhelm. You're literally putting on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree and waiting.
And you are just seeing the eyeballs. What you need here is not necessarily the sale. Is like, am I going to get the eyeballs or not?
Traction. Is there traction? Is there views? Are people asking about it?
Yeah.
This for me, for anyone that's looking to start a business or has an e-com idea, is probably one of the biggest golden nuggets that I've heard. Honest, we've done multiple podcasts. I haven't even thought about doing something like that before.
It's the minimum viable product. We put in Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, eBay, Amazon these days. It's all free. You don't need to pay to put your product there and see if people will look, will ask. If they're not asking, there's no interest. So,
But for someone that wants to set up a Shopify store and not deal with the overwhelm of Amazon and learning how to put a product in, like literally, my 11-year-old can put up a Facebook Marketplace ad.
It's simple.
yeah, it's
A
very
Gumtree ad.
Yeah.
$500, $1,000 Shopify website.
Yeah, just one page.
And just wait. And
Just
I love
one
what you
page
said there.
website.
It's not the sales, it's the eyeballs.
exactly.
Yeah, I have a friend, as I said, he puts up ads for a service. I won't say what it is because I don't want people copying him, but it's a very, very needed, common service. And he puts it up on Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace and his mobile. People call him. He says, okay, what's the job? And he takes the job. He says, I'll get back to you in 6 hours. And then he texts 6 service providers that he's got in a group. Says, this is the job. This is how much it is. I'm paying X amount.
Yeah.
And then he just puts a margin on top. And it costs him $14 a week to boost his ads. And he makes about $3,000 a week just arbitraging, putting an ad on Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace and having 5 guys that do that job. And he just outsources, has no inventory, no nothing. And he travels the world surfing.
How good is that?
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
And he's done it for like years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So this is what we mean. And this is why you got to be friends with you guys who immigrate here, because you guys share information because you're hungry and you ferret out these opportunities and things.
And it's also about the thinking outside the box, right?
Totally. That's what I mean.
When you don't have money, you need to
have
think
to
outside
find
the
a
box.
solution, and then you start thinking outside the box. So I think it also boosts your creativity, because you have to start thinking about different ways of doing things that do not cost you because you cannot afford.
But underpinning it, guys, and don't miss this, is a great product.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
the
a
most
product,
important
you
thing.
got it. And So these guys started and they were selling kids' toys and they're selling all sorts of things. And then boom, they find the one thing.
Yeah.
Like Russell Brunson has a program that says you're one funnel away or you're one product away from changing your life. Very, very true here. Sorry.
100%.
You're right. But what I love about that is you don't even need the stock yet. You know, you can send them to the Facebook and Gumtree page with a link to the website. Take them to the website for a pre-order page,
Yes.
right? And once you hit a certain amount of pre-orders, you could then order it based on the deposits that they're giving you. So it's not even costing you the money.
Or for example, if
financing
you're
your
launching a
business.
product that it has many variations, sizes, and things like that, you might just have the pre-order to see what is the size that you should be ordering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of like spending your cash and getting the entire inventory with different sizes and colors, just put them as an option and see the ones that didn't sell much, you cancel the order and just order the ones that's going to be popular for you to get started.
So what was the next step? You're obviously doing this pre-order model, getting sales through Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree with one product, variations, the fly screen type product. Where did you go from there?
So then that's when we decided to, like, we were selling that well. So going back, we were adding more sizes for different vehicles. The more data we had about the vans, we were adding more and more and more. And that's when it's so funny because when you're in a niche like ours, people will come and tell you what they want. So it's not you leading the market in terms of bringing the things. They will come and tell you, look, we cannot find these in the market. You guys will be the best brand to launch these, or we'll appreciate if you can do a better version of this. So I have now at least like a 50 products pipeline ready to go. Just people coming to me and asking things. So I have someone in my team just doing like some data about it. So if I get a certain number of inquiries about a specific future product, that's when I'll start looking into it.
With your branding, there's so many, because living in a bubble could be everything in the bubble, right? It could be bedding, it could be anything, right?
Yeah, we claim like we invent smart solutions for home on wheels.
Wow, that sounds very corporate, Fernando. I love it. Hey, look at that. The hustler is evolving. So here we are. So let's do some numbers here. So when you started off just hustling off these free platforms, how big were you able to scale it? And what was the next sort of leap up in terms of what was the next big step when you decided to grow up and start acting like the rest of us?
So it took us about 1 year and a half to the point we were able to invest in other things rather than just doing the fly screens, because we didn't have enough money. We didn't get any loans, anything. It was just our $6,000 credit card from the beginning. And again, being immigrants, we had difficulties with scarcity mindset. So we weren't like pushing as much as we should be pushing. So it took us a little while to really, really grow quick. So that was 2020. And then 2021, we went to Amazon. We started selling our products in Amazon here in Australia. 2022 in Amazon America. And we just kept expanding to different marketplaces and launching new products. But for us, the beginning was tough in terms of capital, having enough money to pay for the stock we needed. So like 10th of December, we'd run out of stock to the beginning of January, which is our prime time of the year. It happened twice. This 2023, December 23 was the first time we had just enough stock, not as much as we should to pump ads. So we're preparing for 2024 to be able to pump a lot of ads now that we have a little bit more cash.
James Denham, who's usually on the pod, says something really smart, and I think you guys will resonate with this. He said, when you're building a product business, you're not actually building cash flow, you're building a balance sheet.
Yes.
And so all of your cash and wealth when you're building is actually hidden in your balance sheet and under your assets, as in your inventory usually is where it accumulates. Yeah. And so it's one thing to go to school and learn this, but it's not until you actually lived it where you go, man, I'm making $2 million a year in sales and I still have no cash. Yeah. It's because it's in the warehouse in inventory, and the day you sell the company is when you get the check for all of that plus a multiple on the earnings. Yeah. etc. And we're the same with Eric's business. But I just love this story because I look at Eric's business with MX Store. For first-time listeners, Eric has a e-com business with 3 other guys who started it, mxstore.com.au. It's a $100 million e-com business. They sell motocross parts here on the Gold Coast, 170 employees, more or less. That's an amazing business. But when I hear this story of $4 million from selling fly screens relative to your massive
that's why I've
business.
been trying to get these guys.
Yeah.
Do you need partners? Like,
No. But you know, jokes aside, the point being that the world we're living in now, Eric started that company 14 years ago.
Yeah.
That was what you did 14 years ago. But today you only need 1 or 2 good products and you can sell them globally. Like you guys are just scratching the surface of where you can take living in a bubble.
100%.
Because how much of that revenue is from Australia? How much are US for?
It's about 50. It's about 50% of Australia.
50-50, right? So, you know, America is 13 times bigger than Australia, right? So at the moment, it's only half your revenue. So you've got this huge opportunity to go deep just in what you've already developed. Then you got the UK, you got Japan. Those are all huge RV markets as well.
Yeah, it's just a matter of backing yourself and obviously, you know, inventory finance, because I'm assuming your margin would be half decent. So there should be enough spread there that you can go and afford that.
Yeah. It'll be inventory finance, big game changer for you guys.
For sure. Yeah, but I think one important point to mention here for the audience as well is about the mindset. As I mentioned to you guys in a private session with you, it was our scarcity mindset. Like coming from a poor country, living frugally, we were making enough money. You know, it wasn't to the point we joined the group that we realized there are people out there doing a lot more than us, and they're not afraid of doing it. And it's just the usual, you know, because from where I came from, I wasn't used to have many entrepreneurs at this size around me. So when we were very successful, the numbers we were doing, I thought, okay, this is great. But then you start going to other tables, other rooms, and you go like, wow, that guy's doing 10 mil. That guy's doing 100 mil. Well, what's the difference between the two of us? It's the goal. I want to do it. So being with you guys around people like us now gives me a lot more confidence and calling the shots and going for it. You know, so for me, I believe as the CEO and the person moving the business, it's very important to me to be among other people who have done it before. So then I can go and, let's do it.
Yeah, and I think that's priceless. But people always talk to us about our coaching. And I think a lot of people don't get that. They go, it's $2,500 a month or 25 grand if you pay, 20 grand if you pay up front for the year, whatever. They don't realize the value of being affected by the people around you. Like here on the Gold Coast, for example, we have the guys that own the CMOS business. You know, they've built a tremendous, it'll be an 8-figure business very shortly. We have Andrew, who was on the pod. You know, you guys hang out with him. 15 million a year, 5 million net profit.
Exactly.
Right, and he was an accountant 4 years ago. We've got Shannon and Carson. We're about to do a property day. You guys will be invited, of course, that have built, I don't know what their net worth is now, but I would suspect there's tens of millions of dollars of equity that they have in their real estate projects. And you get to hang out with these guys, and we have meetups and beers here on the Gold Coast. And just by meeting those people, they say, you know, the average 5 people around you are going to reflect your wealth, your body mass index, even everything. Like literally how you look is affected by the people you hang out with.
You got to be very careful, because imagine, and I'm not saying that, you know, I was in the same mindset, you know, like I've been raised by a frugal, you know, Portuguese, European background family, that money was hard to come by. And if you keep sitting in those rooms, it's going to hold you back. That's just the reality. Like when we had our first coaching call with you guys, and I was just like, okay, so it all sounds good, but why aren't you doing this, this, and this? And it was just because like you needed almost like to be told it's okay to do it, and we're here for you. You know,
was exactly what we needed. It was a kick in the ass, like, guys, why are you not doing this?
Yeah, because I'm like,
so obvious.
This is like, there's so much gold in this business. All you got to do is just back yourself, you know. And
how do you share that story? Like, what did you do after that coaching that I know that it had a big impact?
Yeah, we had that chat the end of January, which was the end of summer here for us and would get to summer in America. So after we spoke to you guys and we got a lot more confident in what we were doing, we decided, okay, let's go for Germany, for Canada, and let's pump ads in America. So this high season in the Northern Hemisphere, we're about 100% more than last year. We just did June and July, both months, they were over 500,000, each of them. So if we keep this growth, we're going to reach
over 500 grand a month.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that prior to that chat though, and prior to having those third party eyes look into your business and go, guys, because without it, sometimes you're sitting in a bubble on your own.
Literally.
And then you come to us who see all businesses all the time and we're going, guys, like you got a good thing here.
Yes.
This is what you should be doing. And sometimes it's just having that push from people who've got the perspective that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
What we've been working a lot on the last year or so is building up our team. So we could free our time to work on the business, not so much in the business. So as I mentioned, Mari, as a product designer, the last 6 months, she was doing these 50 SKUs. So 6 months for one person to do 50 SKUs, it's okay, but we need more speed. So we're hiring a product designer to substitute Mari. So then we can, both of us, run the business, go get some finance, because that's going to be our bottleneck, again, the finance side. But we have good people. We have operations manager, supply manager, nice customer service, a marketing operator as well. Now we're onboarding the product developer. And then once we have this team, it's just a matter of scaling.
Yeah.
The next 5 years for you guys is going to be extraordinary. If you just keep your head down, you've got an 8-figure exit on the horizon here for sure. I just want to ask you, because we're almost out of time, of today's revenue that you're doing now, what is the breakup in terms of Facebook Marketplace, Gumtree, Amazon? Like, what is just the rough ballpark of where the revenue is coming in from? Starting with these free marketplaces, what has it evolved into?
Okay. Yeah, those, we don't operate on the free marketplaces anymore. We got blocked from all of them. So we operate out of Shopify and basically Shopify and Amazon. They are both 50 and 50%. So 50% of the revenue will come from Amazon and 50 from Shopify. So what comes from Shopify, we have Google Ads and Facebook Ads. And we run that here in Australia and we run that in the US.
And then you have reorders from existing clients.
Yes, that's the biggest.
So what percentage of your revenue do you reckon comes from repeat business? And the reason I ask this is because there's a lot of Amazon sellers who don't get their customers.
So we have about 20 to 25% returning customers.
Yes.
Right.
And we get people contacting us to say, the problem with your company is that I run out of products to buy. So it's a good
What a complaint.
And the good thing is we launched initially the fly screens. Now we have fly screens and window covers and storages as well for the van. So they come to our website, they buy one product to test the quality and the brand, the company itself, and then they come back and they end up buying 10 products. So one customer can spend up to $2,000 with us these days. And
it's normally like a 2-year journey. So building a brand, it's about 2 years. It's a long-term game, and it's about 2 years until you see the results. So you're going to get someone buying today, and this person will potentially come back another 3, 4, 5 times in the next 2 years, even if we're not consumable. But you want to have the full setup in our case. So you will come back. Sometimes you're going to buy everything in one go, or you buy in parts due to your budget.
I just want to take my hat off to you guys, because you guys are real action takers, right? Like our first coaching call that we had, you took action, increased the business, putting things in place. Our second coaching call, right, was all about, I remember the conversation going, all right, Eric, we're ready. We're making money and we now need to buy a property, right? And this was maybe 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, about
8 weeks ago. 6 to 8 weeks ago. And I remember the call, and they were explaining that they want to buy property and this is what they want to buy and what would you recommend? And I said, listen, I'd recommend manufacturing something so that way you're just not buying a property and sitting on it and waiting for it to go up. I said, don't get emotional about it. Obviously, you guys have went without for a long time. Buy something that you can live in, but something that you can manufacture growth with, putting a duplex or a granny flat, just something you can add value. And this is how I would do it, and this is where I would look, and these are the people that I would talk to. And then I gave you a couple contacts. You've now come into the studio today without me realizing, and before the camera started rolling, and said that you guys have just bought a property and you move in next Friday.
That's correct. Very
so
exciting.
Congratulations. And I just want to say again, like action, like 2 coaching calls and the action that you guys have put in place. I just, that's what fills my bucket, right? Like us helping people, and I've been doing it for many years, and so is Adam. There's certain people that will take action, and there's other people that would just listen and not take action. And for you guys, I just want to say, well done. Kudos to you guys
Thank you very much.
for achieving what you're doing.
Maybe tell us though quickly, what was that journey like? Because that's a big investment of cash, probably the first major asset outside of your business. Can you talk the listeners through what it was like to take a big chunk of cash, buy your first property? How was that feeling?
And I think one thing that we can add, when we spoke to you, Eric, I think we had a meeting with you on a Wednesday, and then on Friday we had a catch up here on the Gold Coast, and then everybody was here. And then every Saturday we'll go and do the inspection. So we've been doing that for 5 months. Every Saturday morning doing lots of inspection, and it gets frustrating at a certain point. And then that night, it was a Friday night, we were just talking to everybody here, and we were just venting the frustration of the market, just doing that again next morning and blah, blah, blah. And then we sat on the table again with the people around you that have done that before you. They just look at us and it'll be like, come on, guys, you're going to find, that's it. This is part of the journey, Sometimes you find good ones, sometimes it's bad ones, but don't worry, you're going to find yours. And the next morning we found. It looked like in a way that we just need that reassurance again, that it's good to have. And then the next morning we found a house.
It's so powerful surrounding yourself with the right people, so explain to us in the audience, so how did that work? So you found the house, it was on the market. You negotiated the deal, obviously. Deposits.
We spoke to a town planner as well to make sure that our plans, because we don't want to just buy a home. We want to be able to build our wealth out of that as well. So manufacturing growth. So we had to look at a property that would be able to give us that. So we found one, but then you got to make your due diligence. We spoke to a town planner. The town planner said, guys, this one is a good go. There's a few options here, as you guys mentioned, like A, B, C, and even a D option that you could.
Yeah, and that was Sunday night, just putting the offer and getting everything done. So we called Shannon, and I was like, Shannon, I need you to take a look on the plans just to make sure that this easement is not a problem. So we have to put an offer today, and we're just negotiating Sunday, 6 p.m., putting offer, having wine and putting another offer.
and Shannon, just for anyone that doesn't know, is another person in our community, one of our coaching clients, whoing doing a lot.
We're using the networking a lot.
Yeah. So you talked to Murray, was it the town planner? So you talked to Murray, called them, talked to Shannon, put in an offer.
And that was it.
Wow.
And again, it's that getting confidence, isn't it, from people further down the road? Because Shannon and Carson, local in Burleigh, and they were there a few years ago, and now they've built wealth through real estate.
Yeah.
And again, it was a challenge for us to go for the property, because again, it's a lot of money for us, but
the fear kicked in again, but at this time we were like, that's it. So
we'll not regret it.
We are not holding us back anymore. We just got to do this. We got to rip the Band-Aid. That's the only way we can go through this.
I want to ask you one last question before we wind it up. Joining a coaching program is a big step as well. And quite often people feel like they suffer imposter syndrome. So they'll be watching this and they'll see you two and they'll go, these guys are doing $4 million a year selling fly screens on vans, and I'm sitting here trying to run a Facebook marketplace free thing that's against terms of service and make $5 a sale. Why would these guys here want to spend any time with me, right? Did you feel that at all, like, oh, this group's going to be too advanced for me, or did you feel
not at all? I think everyone there's different levels in the group, and everyone's so open to learn and to share what they learn in their journey. I didn't feel that at all. Like there's people who they're just trying to build their business, as you just mentioned. There are people doing 100 mil and they come to us and have a chat. So I think it's more about the sharing of it. If you're keen to share something, someone else will be sharing with you back again. So,
and there's also another saying that your business only grows as much as you. So regardless how much that person next to you is making, they're always gonna be next levels and next levels.
Yeah.
And then everybody here, in a way, has like some mental, not issues, but like things that will block your growth. So regardless of your journey, we're always gonna have something to go through and to work on it. So having that and having I think it's more like the container that you guys are creating for us to be able to be ourselves, and you put the guard down and discuss not just numbers, even discuss, fears, right? Because that goes much beyond the numbers, and that's what's going to hold you back, is the fears that you're bringing from your past. So being part of the group and being in this container where we can be vulnerable, that gives a lot of opportunity for all of us to grow and be inspired by the others, but also inspire others, not because of the revenue, because of like the better version of yourself that you wanna get for the next day, for the next year, and so on.
And important to mention as well, as you guys are giving a lot to the community and everyone else in the community are giving to us, we are trying to give back to people out of the community that they reach out to us. They want to know how we did it. They always have many ideas that they want to vet, and we're happy to share. As we've been helped, we want to help as well. So it's a good sharing in the group and out of the group as well. So we're very glad.
I'm going to wind this up, guys, but I want you watching this, because when you're watching YouTube and you're on social media and you're just consuming so much information from Alex Hormozi and Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and whoever it is that you follow, hopefully us a little bit as well. But you've just seen here, guys, the template, at least in this country, for creating wealth and exiting the rat race. It's all in this pod. Find a business, get the right idea, reinvest all of the profits into that business, because there's nowhere you can put your money. These guys are growing at 60% a year. There is no financial investment out there that will give you 60% a year that's legal, right? So where do you put your money? You put your money back into that vehicle. Mm-hmm. Now that you've got a little bit of surplus cash, you're now investing that into your principal place of residence, which is the first investment and the only investment in Australia that is tax-free. So you're going into a growing market here on the Gold Coast. You're going to buy a property. I've recently Googled what is Australia's compound annual growth rate in real estate at the moment. It's like 8 or 9%. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So you get a property for, let's say it's $1 million. You do the math, compounded at 8% in 10 years, it's $2 million, yes. Right? So you make $1 million here tax-free while you're building your business that you started with $3,500. In 5 years, I could see you selling it for 8 figures, and you've got $1 million equity in your house over here. This is how you build wealth. There is no magic secret to it. It is hard work. It is sacrifice, all built on solving a real problem and being prepared to do the thing. Like, be a weirdo that knocks on doors at campgrounds and asks if you can measure the caravan windows. And be prepared to do those things. So there it is, guys. Mari, Fernando, thank you for coming in. If you want to follow these guys, first of all, go to their website, which is livinginabubble.com.au. Tell everyone you know who has a van, if they want to have a better experience, go see these guys. That you can follow them on Instagram. So Mari is at Mari, M-A-R-I, .O-B for Bob, E-R-H-E-R-R. So they're going to throw it up in post over the screen. And Fernando is Nando Spindler. So N for nose, A, N for nose, D-O Spindler. So you can follow them both on Instagram, pop them a DM, say g'day. And most importantly, guys, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think of this one. Give them some love. I mean, this has been an amazing podcast. These guys have absolutely shared the real truth of their story, which is great. And we thank you for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate your attention as always. Eric, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Fernando. Yeah, amazing. Loved having you guys on.
Loved having you guys on. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.